and thank you for joining me tonight. It's a midweek video, yay! First one in about 2 months, so it's been a little while. Tonight I wanted something easy, I wanted to have fun, but I didn't want to have to think. So we're not using our brain, we're going to use the paper pads. I have an addiction to buying paper pads, and I got these two that I'm using tonight. So I've got the pearlescent one from Crafter's Companion. I realized I cut the footage short and didn't actually share it with you, so I put a little screenshot in. And then I've got an obsession with Paper Boutique paper pads, so of course I'm going to use one of those. Now, these are not my colors. This is not what I tend to gravitate towards to. So that's why I bought it. I was like, nope, we're going to go for some more masculine colors, and I'm going to get this paper pad. I didn't get anything else in the collection, just the colored paper. Now, the nice thing is if you've got paper pads, they will match. The whole point in having a paper pad is that they go together. So you don't have to think about it. You know that these colors are going to work. So this is just a simple way to use your paper pads, get a really great background, but not actually have to think about how you're going to coordinate the colors because you're just going to use what's in there. All I'm doing here is cutting 1-inch strips, and I'm just doing 2 of each color so that if I run out of the strips, I can keep going. I've got more. So they're 1 inch wide and however long the paper pad is. And I've done the same with the pearlescent card. I do skip through showing you that one because I think that's a bit boring. So we're just going for the very basic technique, and we're using our paper pads to create that awesome background for us. This is printer paper, really thin photocopy paper, and all I'm going to do is cut it down to a standard card size base panel for myself. Now, whatever your card size base might be, just cut your piece of paper down to that. I've got this giant roll of sticky that I picked up from a craft fair about 5 years ago, and I'm still working through it. It's double-sided adhesive, and it's about A5 in width for the UK. And so I'm going to use that, but any double-sided adhesive works. You could do strips of tape instead if you've got double-sided tape that you picked up from the dollar store or the pound shop. You could just run strips of that down it. You could take a glue stick and just slapdash some glue stick all over it. Because it's such thin printer paper, I wouldn't use liquid glue. It might just make it a bit too soggy, but we're only using it so that we've got something to work towards, and we've got a shape that we're going to do our card base for, if that makes, you'll see what I mean. I probably don't make any sense. It's midweek, I've had a lot of coffee today, but the brain's shutting down. So I'm going to peel back my release paper on my sticky stuff, but I'm only going to peel it back a little bit so that just the top part of that adhesive is showing, and then I'll gradually pull it down because I find if I take the whole entire backing off, we get a lovely sticky mess that sticks to everything. For my first one, I'm just going to start by lining it up at the top and just work my way down using the exact same pattern order that's on the front of the paper pack and the way the papers were put in the paper pack. So I'm doing no thinking, no brain work, I am just literally lining them up. And I started to find that if I kind of slid them down the color before and then just kind of popped it into its little place, that worked the best to avoid any kind of mess. Now I'm not bothering with lining up the sides because I've got my little base piece of printer paper. I can go ahead and use a pair of scissors and just trim it along that side, or when you get proper lazy, you can grab your paper trimmer and just trim it down this way. I do also decide that I wanted to have my panels kind of pop in the middle a bit more and make my top and bottom colors a bit more even so they kind of match a bit more. And so I decided to do a little panel that would sit on the top front of my card, and you'll see in a minute it has a nice big border around the edge, and I thought that would be quite fun for this kind of style of card. So here you can see I've just trimmed it down enough that that top strip and the bottom strip are sort of even, because it kind of bugs my eyes if they're very wonky and different sized. Then I did it the other direction, so I did it lengthways. Then I did it on an angle with my pearlescent card. And then I did another one that was sort of the strips across again. So I've got 4 panels, took me only a couple minutes to do. Now, to get it to be a little bit more creative again, I'm going to add some embossing folders. Not to all of them, but to 2 or 3 of them, I think I did some embossing folders just to add a bit more texture. And because we use the printer paper, the photocopy paper underneath, it embosses beautifully, and it doesn't crack the cardstock. It's not difficult to run through. It's such a thin bit of paper holding all of our strips on. We don't have to worry about that. So here you can see the different subtle patterns on the background, and it gives you just that little bit more oomph to your card base and to your little background. I'm saying background way too many times. So there we go. That one on the left I left plain. Now I'm going to come in with some adhesive and I'm going to stick them down in different ways. So this one I'm just gluing straight to the card. Some I pop up with a bit of foam, but this one is just going to go straight onto the card so I can kind of wiggle it into place and get it exactly where I want it to go and have that nice little panel in the middle. Super quick and easy, not really having to think much about it. The next one, I've got the giant roll of Arteza foam tape, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. I've been working through this for over a year. I keep forgetting that I've got it, which is probably why it's taking me so long to work through. It's a really nice, strong adhesive, really sticky. That red stuff, though, is a bit annoying because it's really staticky. So when you peel it off, you've got to do the whole shake your wrist as hard as you possibly can, and then normally you end up flicking your fingers across your desk or something and whacking yourself. So that's the only downside to this tape. So once I've removed all the release sheet, I can then pop it in the middle. If you struggle with foam tape, you can always put a bit of liquid adhesive on the back of the foam tape, and that gives you a little bit more wiggle room. Now my original idea was to use Alina's new dies, these really cool kind of shape dies, because I thought I could kind of line up the shapes with some of the shapes on the cards from my embossing folders. However, I did get a bit lazy and I really wanted to use my new dies again. So I reverted back to using these ones instead and just went for a sentiment on the front of each card. And it was quick, it was simple, it took care of some of those paper pads that I keep buying, and I ended up having a nice crafty time where I didn't have to use my brain much and I got to watch my TV show while I did it. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. It was a nice simple one without much thinking. And I would love it if you subscribed if you enjoyed my content. Otherwise, I'm going to see you again on Saturday night. Take care. Bye.